Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar on the new features in General Ledger and Statewide Funds Receipts coming in September 2026. Thank you for attending. As you can see, we've combined General Ledger with Statewide Funds Receipts. Most of you on this call hold roles in both of these areas, so we thought we could save you time in your busy schedules by discussing both today. For those of you that only hold roles in one module or the other, we ask you to please hang with us as we present the exciting new features of these two functional areas of Cardinal. For our agenda today, I'll give you a quick overview of what to expect in today's webinar and fill you in on the Cardinal Upgrade project. I'll then turn it over to Dan Walsh, a member of our fabulous training team, who will review the new features for General Ledger and Statewide Funds Receipts, all coming as part of the upgrade. This includes a preview of the fresh new look for Cardinal Financials, the new GL WorkCenter and additional enhancements in that area, and a look at the Receivables WorkCenter. He'll provide live demonstrations of both of the new WorkCenters. Dan will then preview the new General Ledger Insights, which features multiple visualizations of revenue and expenditure data, including interactive charts, graphs, and tables. If you have agency-specific questions, please enter a help desk ticket and someone from the General Ledger or Accounts Receivable teams will respond to your inquiry. And on a similar note, if you have requests for additional enhancements but beyond what you see today, please enter a help desk ticket for those also. We want to ensure your request is captured, and we will review those requests after we go live and stabilize on the upgraded system. Okay, in this webinar, we are featuring enhancements to the General Ledger and Accounts Receivable functional areas as a result of the Cardinal upgrade. If we don't discuss a particular Cardinal function, it is most likely unchanged as part of the upgrade. We are updating all job aids and other training materials, which will be made available to you prior to the upgrade. And we want you to know that retaking training will not be required, although you are certainly welcome to consider doing that. So before I turn it over to Dan, let me tell you a little bit about the Pump Upgrade project. The Cardinal team is enhancing both financials and HCM, upgrading these applications to the latest PeopleSoft releases. We started the project in September 2025 and plan to go live with the upgraded system on September 8, 2026. The upgrade includes numerous enhancements aimed at improving the user experience and overall system functionality. Our summer webinars are designed to help you become familiar with many of the new features of the upgrade. I'm now going to turn it over to Dan Walsh.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dan Walsh, and I'm on the Cardinal training team. I want to start by saying thank you for taking the time today to attend the webinar and to see and hear how the Cardinal upgrade will impact the General Ledger and Accounts Receivable modules. In case you didn't know, Cardinal Financials overall is getting a fresh new look, which is very exciting. Cardinal Financials currently has a heavy text layout, lengthy menu lists with nested folders, and often involves excessive scrolls, hovers, and clicks. But the upgrade will change that. The Cardinal upgrade, as you can see from this image, will have a clean, modern look with simplified tile-based navigation, which puts you just one click away from key tasks that you perform daily. We are also introducing WorkCenters. WorkCenters are designed to create a one-stop location to complete most of your daily tasks. Let's take a few moments to watch a video that will provide information about Cardinal Financials WorkCenters. This video will feature Kate, who is a voucher processor. While Kate will provide information using the AP WorkCenter, the benefits highlighted applies to all Cardinal Financials WorkCenters. So with that said, let's watch the video.
Meet Kate. She's a voucher processor. And probably just like you, Kate has to go to a number of different pages in Cardinal to complete her daily work.
It would be so nice to have one place to go to access the tasks I need to do today. I probably get even more work done.
Guess what, Kate? We are introducing Cardinal WorkCenters, a centralized hub for completing your daily tasks. WorkCenters reduce navigation time and improve productivity. You can review action items that contain counts so you know how many require attention, apply flexible filters, complete tasks, and run reports and queries all in one place. Yes, you heard right, all in one place. Starting from the Cardinal Financials homepage, let's take a look at the Accounts Payable, or AP, WorkCenter tile and go through one of Kate's daily tasks.
As a voucher processor, one of my daily tasks is entering vouchers. This includes searching for the supplier, entering the voucher, and finally, monitoring my voucher and others for errors.
Let's take on those tasks, Kate. Again, start by clicking the AP WorkCenter tile. Using the navigation panel on the left, open the Links section. From here, click the Vouchers folder. Since we first need to search for suppliers, let's scroll down a bit to the Review Suppliers page to review supplier information. After completing your review, you'll be ready to enter the voucher. To do so, refer back to the Vouchers folder. Click the Regular Entry page. Add any needed information and click Save. This will submit your voucher for processing. Now, Kate can complete her last task, which is monitoring vouchers. Scroll up to My Work and click Budget Check Errors under Voucher Exceptions. As well, monitor your submitted vouchers by clicking Vouchers Submitted for Approval. Kate can also access key AP WorkCenter queries and reports. For example, she can run the Voucher on Payment Hold query to ensure no vouchers have a payment hold. And she can run the Prompt Pay report to verify her agency's vouchers are paid on time.
Thanks, narrator. WorkCenters really can bring my tasks into one workplace.
Exactly, and those benefits apply for each of Cardinal Financial's configured WorkCenters, including GL, AP, EX, AR, Billing, Procurement, Projects, and Contracts, which again are located on the Cardinal Financial's homepage and display based on your security roles. Cardinal Financial WorkCenters, your one-stop shop to get your tasks done.
I know this video was for the AP WorkCenter, but it gives you a look at what happens in WorkCenters. Again, WorkCenters bring together items requiring attention and provide easy access to frequently used pages, queries, and reports, increasing efficiency and saving you time. Today, we're going to take a look at two different WorkCenters. First, we will look at the GL WorkCenter and then the AR WorkCenter. As with all WorkCenters, the General Ledger WorkCenter is a central hub for journal processors and approvers. This slide provides a screenshot of the GL WorkCenter. It includes some callouts of the different sections with a high-level description of each. I will cover these sections in more detail when I go through my demonstration shortly. Also in the demonstration, I will discuss two filtering options which allow you to adjust the data that is displayed in the WorkCenter by using default and temporary filters. Default filters are available in the navigation panel, and when they are updated, they impact what displays in the WorkCenter each time you access it. Default filters remain in place until you make additional updates to them. Temporary filters are located on the transaction panel and allow you to refine data for information that is displayed in the panel, such as business unit or other criteria. These temporary filters are only applied to your current session and will be reset with the default filters the next time you log in. We've created a job aid that provides more information about WorkCenters, which includes details about setting up default and temporary filters that will be available upon go live. Now we'll spend a few minutes reviewing some additional enhancements for GL that will be coming with the upgrade. These enhancements include updates to the spreadsheet journal upload, changes to how you access and complete approvals, no more work lists, and improvements to how you create and view your delegation. Now let's take a moment to review each of these changes in a little more detail. I will start with the update to the spreadsheet journal upload. Users need to understand that the current files, the spreadsheet file and the macro file, will not work after the system upgrade in September. Users will need to download the new spreadsheet file and the macro file from the Cardinal project website. Mark this as a must-to-do in your calendar for those of you who upload spreadsheet journals to Cardinal. The good news is the process has not changed. The only changes are the look of the Spreadsheet Journal Import homepage, the View Logs button under the General section on the homepage, and the look of the Spreadsheet Journal Import Spreadsheet. With the upgrade, you will see new and improved functionality for approvals and delegations. The Approvals tile replaces work list functionality. You can approve transactions that route through workflow for approval by clicking this tile. Transactions that do not go through workflow are not displayed on this page. As you see displayed on this slide, this approver has a mix of transactions awaiting review and approval. It is important to note that if you are completing tasks within a specific WorkCenter, you are also able to approve those transactions within the applicable WorkCenter. You don't have to navigate back to the Approvals tile or the Approval tab on the specific journal. There are 4 ways to approve GL journals. 2 ways post journals automatically to the general ledger, and the other 2 ways require a manual process to post, or approved journals will post during the nightly batch process. If approving from the Approvals tile or from the GL WorkCenter under the My Approvals section, these approved journals automatically post to the general ledger. However, if approving from the GL WorkCenter under My Work section or from the Approvals tab on the journal entry itself, these approved journals do not automatically post to the GL. The journal can be manually posted to GL through the current process today, or the journal will post during the nightly batch process. Let's talk about delegations. The delegations tile is where approvers go to assign their approvals to another approver. That'll be available after the upgrade. When you click the delegations tile, you will see 3 additional tiles as displayed on this slide. First is the Create Delegation Request tile, which is used by the delegator to delegate approvals to another approver. Second is the My Delegates tile, which is used by the delegator to view requests they have delegated to. And lastly is the My Delegated Authorities tile, which is used by the delegate to view transactions delegated to them from another approver. As part of this demonstration, I will walk through creating a delegation request. Now that I've covered the additional GL enhancements, I will transition over and do a demonstration. We are now on the Cardinal Financials homepage, and you can see the more modern tile-based layout. The tiles that display will vary based on the user security rules. I also want to call out in the upper right-hand corner, the nav bar button. This button looks like a compass. When I click it, you can see the recently visited, favorites, menu, and my preferences options. When I click the menu option, it is essentially like the main menu we have in the current version of Cardinal Financials, with all the submenus and pages organized the same way. So even with the new tile functionality, you can still use navigation to access pages and reports just as you do today. Be sure to utilize the job aids and videos that will be available to you upon go live to assist with your transition to the new overall layout of Cardinal Financials. For this part of the demonstration, I've logged in as a GL processor and will provide an overview of the GL WorkCenter sections, folders, and pages. After that, I will log in as a GL approver and show you the Approvals tile and how the Approvals section displays in the WorkCenter for an approver, and then demonstrate creating a delegation request. So with that said, let's start with an overview of the GL WorkCenter. I will start by clicking the GL WorkCenter tile. Let me take a moment to review some overview information about the WorkCenter layout. The left side of the WorkCenter is called the navigation panel, and it controls what displays on the right, which is the transaction panel. The navigation panel includes sections, and under those sections are bolded words, which are the folders. Folders contain pages, which allow you to easily access items requiring attention or quick access to frequently used pages, reports, and queries. The GL WorkCenter contains 6 sections. We have My Work, My Approvals, My Insights, Links, Queries, and finally, Reports/Processes. I will review each of these at a high level in just a moment. The sections, folders, and pages that display are based on the user security rules. We have a job aid that will be available upon go live that provides a listing of the sections, folders, and pages, and which security rules have access for the Cardinal Financials WorkCenters that I know you'll find helpful upon go live. The My Work section defaults as expanded when you access the General Ledger WorkCenter, with the exceptions folder and the journal processing folder display. The exceptions folder displays the journals that have errors and journals with commitment control exceptions, along with control count. You can see underneath my work, I've got several that have control counts associated with the different pages. The journal processing folder displays incomplete journals, journals available to edit, submit journals for approval, pushback or denied journals, journals pending approval, and journals ready to post. So in this demonstration, I want to show you, right now I am on the exceptions folder and on the journals with errors page. If I come down and click the journals available to edit, you can see the transaction panel will now update with all journals available to edit. So as I mentioned earlier about the default filters and temporary filters, from here, if I were to click the temporary filter icon, if I had, let's say, 500 items listed here, and I just wanted to look for specific journals, I could enter in these specific criteria and refine my search and look specifically for what I'm trying to find. Again, temporary filters are reset every time you log into the system. So another few things I just want to say, submit journals for approval. You can just see how there's 17 items now listed here. Journals pending approval, I've got 2 items listed. What I would be able to do for journals pending approval is click that journal ID number link, and at that point I can go in and approve that particular journal entry. Please note that as a GL processor, you can view these transactions and counts, but are unable to remove holds or approve transactions. This is for informational purposes, and these numbers are updated based on the approver's actions. All users with access to the GL WorkCenter will see the My Approvals section, whether they have an approval role or not. However, this section will not contain any information if you are not an approver. When I click on Pending Approval folder, you can see the folder does not open and show any pages. I want to call your attention to the tab on the navigation panel. It's this little black tab button right here. It's another great feature in all WorkCenters. It allows you to hide the navigation panel and expand the transaction panel to extend the view for larger pages. So if I click on this tab right now, the navigation panel disappears and the transaction panel takes up my entire computer screen. And all I have to do is click the tab again, and I bring back my navigation panel. The next section is My Insights. This section, when expanded, contains the Financial Insights folder and the GL Trend Analysis, State Budget to Actuals, Revenue Budget to Actuals, and Project Budget to Actuals pages. I will demonstrate insights shortly and provide an overview of this information. Next, we have the Links section. It contains 2 folders, which are the Create Journals and Other Links. Each of these folders contains several pages. The Create Journals folder contains pages that allow you to copy journals, create or update journal entries, and complete the spreadsheet journal import request. The Other Links folder contains pages to define chart field value, speed chart, define speed type, tree viewer, process monitor, report manager, and query viewer. And we'll talk more about query viewer in just a second. Now, let's look at the query section. This section contains 4 folders, which are the Actuals Journal, Ledger, Capitalization, and Budget Journals. I will click the Actuals Journals folder, and you can see the pages that populate underneath it. These pages allow you to quickly access some of the most frequently run queries. For example, when I click the Journals That Are Not Posted page, the query displays in the transaction panel. So let me click on the Journals That Are Not Posted. And from here, I can enter in the fields for business unit, journal date from, and journal date to, and run this particular query. If the query we're looking for is not listed underneath one of these options, what you can do is go up underneath Other Links and click on Query Viewer. And from your WorkCenter, you can run any query that you have access to. So since I'm in the General Ledger module, I will type V_GL and click the search button. And from here, even if they're not listed under the most commonly used queries under the query section, I can then select the query from here and run it. The final section of the GL WorkCenter is Reports/Processes. This contains the most frequently run reports. There are 3 folders named Journal Processing, General Reports, and budget reports, and under each of these folders are pages listing the reports. Simply click the applicable report, search for and create a run control ID if needed, and run the report right here in the WorkCenter. So if I click on the journal processing folder, I can click the edit journals. And from here, I can run the edit journals process by finding the existing value. Or if this is the first time I'm running this, I would click add a new value and create a run control ID. I will now log off and then log in as the GL approver. I do a quick overview of approvals and then demonstrate the process for creating a delegation request. There are 4 places where approvers can review and take action on transactions. The first is the approvals tile. As you can see, this tile contains a count and the number of transactions that are awaiting approval. And here, the count number is 15. When you click the tile, a page like the one that displays here shows up on your screen. Note that all your workflow approvals are displayed on this page for AP, expenditures, GL, delegations, requisitions, and purchase orders as applicable. This page replaces the current work list page. The second place where transactions can be approved is right in the applicable WorkCenter. I will go back to the Cardinal Financials homepage and click the GL WorkCenter. Underneath the My Approval section, you can see how many of each type of journal transaction requires review and approval. Also note that the Delegation of Authority section displays here as well. Now, let's go back to the Cardinal Financials homepage and review delegations and the delegations tile. Just like in the current system, approvers can delegate their approval authority to a delegate. The delegator can only delegate approval authority to a user if they are within the same business unit and also have the same approval roles for the transactions being delegated. This allows the delegate to approve or deny designated transactions on behalf of the delegator. When a delegation request is submitted, the delegate will receive an email indicating a delegation request has been sent. Notice that if you have any active delegation requests that you have not approved or rejected, the count would display right here on the tile. Now I will demonstrate the process for creating a delegation request. Just like anything else I've demonstrated, there will be a detailed job aid available. I will click the delegations tile. 3 tiles display, which are Create Delegation Request, My Delegates, and My Delegated Authorities. Since we're creating a request, I will click the Create Delegation Request tile. The delegation request page displays. This is a great enhancement, and you can easily see a display of the steps in the header section. First, I will enter the start end dates for the time I want transactions to be delegated. And in this particular example, I'm just going to click on the calendar and select August 20th and August 21st. And now note in the comment, we have an asterisk, and anytime there's an asterisk, it's a required field. I'll just click a comment called vacation. And once I've entered that information in, I'll click the next button. The delegates page is where I select who I want to delegate my approvals to. I'll click the Add Delegate button. The Add Delegate page displays in a pop-up window. I will need to enter the user ID of who I want to delegate my approvals to. If I don't know the user ID, use the lookup icon to select the applicable approver. Only users with the approval role within my business unit display. For this scenario, I know the user ID, so I'll enter it right here. Once I've entered in the user ID, I click the Done button, and the selected employee's name and email address display. Note, the phone number does not display. Once I've confirmed who I'm delegating to, I can click the next button. I also have the ability to click the previous button if I need to go back and make any additional changes. I can also, right here, click the delete button and reselect a different employee if needed. Now the transaction page displays. You can select the checkbox next to the specific transaction or transactions you want to delegate, or you can select the Select All button to select all transactions. For this scenario, I will select GL Journal Approval. And once I've selected my transactions, I'll click the next button. And we are now on step 4. The Review and Submit page displays. And from here, I will confirm my start and end dates, my comment, the delegates, and the transactions that are being delegated. Once I've confirmed my information, I'll click the Submit button. The delegation request is complete, and Cardinal returns you back to the delegation page. To view the request, click the My Delegates tile. Notice the different status tabs here. I've got active, accepted, rejected, revoked, submitted, and ended. I'll click the Submitted tab, and you can see here the delegation request that I've just created on August 20th to August 21st. And that concludes my demonstration for GL WorkCenters, approvals, and delegations.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Before we move on to accounts receivable, Julie, do you have any questions
Oh
you
my
want to
gosh.
address?
Oh, I so do. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. This is so exciting to be with you today. We have some amazing experts on the room with us, and you've been posting things in the chat, so continue to do that. We've flagged a couple that are going to be answered by our one and only Chantel Cox, and we might even pull in some additional people as we go. All right, so Chantel, the first question we have was, can a journal be deleted?
Great question. Same as we have today. So you cannot delete a module journal. So like you can't delete an AP journal, you can't delete a payroll journal, and you can't delete a journal that was already posted to the ledger. So not a change from current processes.
Great, thank you. And so we have additional questions very specific to our delegation. So with the delegation tile, if the person is out, will the other approvers be able to see the work to approve it in the approval tile?
For GL, yes, we have what they call a pooled work list. So every approver in that pool will be notified as an approver for that journal.
And with the delegation, is it only the time approvers, or will this work for financial services as well? So yes, the answer is that it's not only for time, but it will also be for our all of our financial transactions. However, what we will say is that every type of transaction, you have to enter not only a delegation in the HCM side of the house, as well as for a delegation in financials. So you'll have to enter that in two places. Alrighty. Let's see. Can the delegated approver reassign transactions themselves?
So with the new delegation functionality, the delegator will not be able to reassign the transactions. However, we ask the delegator to log a help desk ticket. That way PPS can handle the reassignments of the delegation.
Great, thank you very much. And we have a question. If one of my managers goes on vacation without delegating his work list, can I delegate it for him? That's what Shravanti was just talking about, where it would go through PPS. So you would log a help desk ticket to assist with that. However, with that, there is the mobile feature that was mentioned earlier. And so that person, if they have their mobile phone and they can use it, and they could do their delegation while they're on vacation. So why would an approver need to delegate to another approver? Don't all approvers in the same role already see the documents needed for approval?
I think she's relating to what I said, the pooled work list.
Pooled work list.
Yes, for a GL journal. So like there are more than one approver.
Right.
So like everyone gets notified all within that pool that this journal can be approved by one of the 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people. I think that's what she's asking.
Yeah.
So yes,
If you
didn't really technically have to unless there's nobody else to approve.
I
within
also
that.
believe that there are some agencies that have multiple pools set up. So depending on the agency setup, it might be necessary for them to do a delegation.
Awesome. All right, all great questions. Thank you so much. We're gonna move back over into our next section.
Now, let's take a moment and look at the Receivables Work Center. After reviewing the Receivable Work Center, I will then do a demonstration on the Cardinal Financial Insight. The Receivables Work Center is the central hub for AR processors and managers. Here is a view of what the Receivable Work Center looks like. Let me get logged back into our Cardinal Financial Training environment and discuss it in more detail. I will start by clicking the AR Work Center tile. And I did mention and showed the temporary filter option in the General Ledger Work Center demonstration. And if I click that filter here in the AR Work Center, you can see the refined filters criteria that I can utilize when I'm looking for specific information. Again, when you log into the Receivables Work Center, the My Work section displays with the payments folder and then the 2 pages underneath that. If you were a person that had lots of transactions, that's where you would utilize the temporary filters and set those specifically, like I mentioned, find what you're looking for. But you also have the ability to set your default filters. And if I click this default filter button and click Edit Filters, I then will get the payments page that I can then, from there, select one of the two pages. I'll say Direct Journals to Complete, at which point I can see here for this user ID, they have access to 3 different business units. If I wanted to set any criteria specific, again, setting these default filters will be permanently set until they're reset back to the way you want them. Again, refer to the job aid that will provide more information about WorkCenters, which include details about setting up default and temporary filters. Now let's take a look at the navigation panel. In the Receivables WorkCenter, there are several sections, folders, and pages that we will discuss. First is My Works with the Payments section. And underneath the payment sections are the direct journals to complete. And if I click on that, I can see and take action on these particular transactions. If I click the direct journals to budget check, you can see the 7 items that I have to take action on. The numbers beside each page shows how many journals need attention. Clicking the page gives you the list immediately in the transaction panel, and within each page, you can run temporary filters to find what you need. Next is the links section, and this again provides quick access to the Enter and Apply Payments folder with 4 key pages. The pages are the Regular Deposit, Create Direct Journal, Modify Direct Journal, and Approve Deposit pages. These take you straight to familiar pages like Find an Existing Value or Add a New Value. So if I click Regular Deposit, from here, I can click and find an existing value, or if I wanted to create a new value, I can create a new value. Same thing for Create Direct Journal Accounting Entries. Here, there is no Add a New Value button because it's a step further in the process. So it's just Find an Existing Value. I can here click Modify Direct Journal Accounting Entries. Again, only the Find in the Existing Value button, and then Approve Deposit. From here, I can come in and approve the specific deposits because remember, accounts receivable does not go through the workflow process like other modules do. Also under the links is the Other Links folder or section or folder. And underneath that folder are the Process Monitor, Report Manager, and Query Viewer. If I click on the Process Monitor, I can then, if you were to look at and search for a specific process that you ran earlier, you can use this Process Monitor to actually look up the information associated with that and check the statuses of that particular process that you ran. Underneath Report Manager, I can click here and view reports for specific specific reports. And then we have Query Viewer. And just like I showed you in GL, if you were to type in V_AR and click the search button, right here from your WorkCenter, I'll be able to run all of these queries. And this is a complete list of queries where when you click the query section, we've got the AR queries, and these queries listed here are the most commonly run queries. If I were to select deposit reconciliation, I can then enter in the fields for my business unit, accounting from date and to date, and also the associated bank code. And finally, we're going to look at reports/processes. And underneath the reports/process, it includes the AR reports folder with a list of common reports to run. Some of those reports are, for example, AR/GL reconciliation, funds receipt upload error, payment detail, and payment summary. If I were to click on the payment summary, from here you can click Find an Existing Value or Add a New Value to run this specific report. So that concludes my demo of the General Ledger WorkCenter and the Receivables WorkCenter, as well as an overview of the Approvals tile and a walkthrough of completing a delegation request. The job aid titled Overview of Cardinal Financial WorkCenters will definitely be one that you want to review as you get ready for go live in September. As mentioned, There will be many updated job aids and resources for all Cardinal functional areas to assist you with this upgrade. Hopefully, you can see how WorkCenters are structured to be your one-stop location to get the majority of your tasks done. I also hope that you're excited about the other great changes, including updated pages, approvals, and delegations that are designed to help you get your work done more efficiently. But wait, there's more. I will now present an overview of the Cardinal Financial Insight with a focus on the GL tiles, which you don't want to miss. But first, we're going to do a question and answer session.
Let's see. Do we have more questions before we proceed?
Well, it looks like Jens is helping us answer some of these questions, but why don't we take a look at them? So Jens, just to go back to this, when you click on the list for direct journals to budget check, can you take action? Jens, do you want to describe that functionality?
Yes, yeah. So for example, the direct journals to complete, that would take you to the create accounting page for direct journal processing. And at that point, you could complete it in the transaction panel and then save it and then go right back to your WorkCenter.
Love it. Thank you so much. And we had another question of, can you delete deposits or journals?
Nothing's changed on the functionality of that. So in today's world, there at certain points, you can still delete the deposit. But once you get far enough along, you will still have to enter tickets to have that done for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And another question comes from Janet, which is loved by many. Will we get access to a test site to test all of these fabulous features before go live? I took a little liberty with that one. The answer is no, Janet, we won't have a test site, not this round, because we didn't feel like we had major changes, but we will have all of those amazing job aids and some fabulous web-based learning that we're going to post just before go live, and communications will come out on that. So thank you very much. And Stacy McCracken, are you ready for this one, Stacy McCracken? Oh, Stacy McCracken's not online. Can we make her a presenter? Let's see, there was a fabulous question about mobile and said, is Cardinal going to go mobile? And you can currently access Cardinal from your mobile devices, but the upgraded system, some pages will render more mobile friendly. So delegation is one of those items that we've highlighted, that it'll look more nice nicer something whenever you go on your mobile device. So there will, and I think for some of the folks who are in our TA sessions, you'll have some additional features there as well. In general, you can look at it on your mobile for all these other pages, but it's just not going to look as nice. So if you had to go in and do approvals, you might be able to click a button, but you wouldn't be able to see all the detail on your screen like you can on your workstations.
Okay, I'll turn it over to Dan, and he is going to give you a look at general ledger insights.
So thank you, Dana. So as she mentioned, I'm going to do a walkthrough and an overview of the Cardinal Financial Insights, what it is and how you can use it to make more informed decisions. So Insights, what is it? It's an analytical tool to provide fast, interactive, and actionable data visualizations such as charts, graphs, and data tables, focused on the general ledger, projects, supplier spend analysis, and employee expenses information. Some key benefits include improved decision-making and analytics, which provides rich visual analytics for better understanding of data trends. Intuitive visualization tools include interactive charts and tables, allowing for easy data interpretation and trend analysis. And filter capability allows users to navigate from high-level visualizations to detailed actionable records. Multiple filters are available to allow users to focus on the data elements of interest, such as agency, secretariat, fund, program, employee, or supplier, to name a few. To access insights, users must have access to Cardinal Financials. So here I am on the Cardinal Financials homepage. Again, so here I am on the Cardinal Financials homepage. What I'll do is now click the Financial Insights tile. And once I click the Financial Insights tile, 6 additional tiles will show up. They are the GL trend analysis, state budget to actuals, revenue budget to actuals, project budget to actuals, supplier spend analysis, and employee expenses. Some important notes. The information on all tiles, except for the project budget to actual tiles, defaults to statewide information. All Insights dashboards, except for the project to actuals budget, will contain 3 years of data. During July, when the year-end close process is underway, 4 years will display until the previous year is closed. The project budget to actuals will have complete information for the life of the project, which in many cases is more than 3 years. Also, the data is updated each night during the nightly batch process. So information entered today will be available in Insights tomorrow. As I mentioned, the first 4 tiles are related to general ledger information, and the other 2 tiles are for accounts payable with the supplier spend information and the employee expense information. From here, you'll select the specific tile you want to view. Users can also access insights from the GL, AP, and expense WorkCenters under My Insights if you have access to WorkCenters. Today, we will focus specifically on the state budget to actuals tile and briefly discuss the other 3 GL-related tiles. So I'll click the state budget to actuals tile and we can take a closer look. The state budget to actual tile defaults to the current fiscal year. And I can see that by looking underneath the search line. You can see the year 2026 filter has displayed. We're in a training environment, and our training environment is currently only containing information for fiscal years 2024, 2025, and 2026. Every Insights dashboard has a consistent layout, including scroll panels. So if I just scroll down, I can see all the visualizations associated with this particular tile. And I know there's a lot of them, and we'll mention them in just a moment. We have the search line. We also have this button, which is the change all filters. We have this plus add filter. There's different filter boxes, different control boxes. So just to demonstrate here, for this particular tile, we have a year filter, a BU filter, an account filter, fund filter, and program filter. And within each of those, you either have one or several different filters that you can apply to search for the information that you're looking for. We also have export options. As an accountant myself, I love to get information into an Excel spreadsheet, and I'll show you how you'll be able to do that. Also, within each of the visualizations, we have ability to sort. And I'll demonstrate that in a little while. We also have the ability, when you hover over different sections of the visualizations, this plus and minus button to either include or exclude the information from your visualization. And we'll talk about the toggle legend and the options menu as well. These features and common structure layouts helps users quickly navigate regardless of which of the 6 insight tiles you select. We will discuss these in more detail as we move through this demonstration. So again, here I am on the state budget to actuals dashboard. And this dashboard includes 15 visualizations and provides extensive detail on general ledger information for expenditures. So again, as I scroll down here, the information is showing currently 2026 fiscal year by default. I can then go in and change those filters. So let's just say I wanted to change the filter from 2026 to 2025. Underneath the fiscal year, I can click the drop down here and select 2025. And if I click apply changes, I would update my information and filter for fiscal year 2025. I also have the ability to add different business unit numbers. So here my information is now populating for fiscal year 2025. And this red bar that is being highlighted here is still running and pulling the information associated with each of the 15 visualizations. But if I want to select a business unit, I can click the drop down, select business unit 10,000. I can also select business unit 10700 and select the third one, 11000. And once you select your particular filter, you'll actually have to click the Apply Changes button associated with that control filter box. As I've selected those filters, they pop up underneath the search line. You can see here the business units that I've selected. I would also now be able to remove a business unit or any other filter that I have selected here. So let's just say I didn't want to include business unit 11000. I can click this X button, scroll down and click Apply Changes. And now underneath the search line, you can see I'm only showing 2 business units that I'm filtering on. For this particular dashboard, I have the ability to look at account information, fund information, and program information. Some other common features that I want to highlight is the search line, which displays at the top and allows users to input search criteria based on data used in the filters. Talking high level with the filters, there's some things that you have to be aware of. One is you can click the drop-down button, select your item that shows up in the drop-down box, but sometimes you'll actually click, for example, underneath business unit name. Let me remove these 2 business unit filters real quick here. Click Apply, and I'm back to just showing fiscal year 2025 for statewide information. If I click the business unit name and scroll down here, you can see I don't list all 260 state agencies. What I have the ability to do is from that filter field, begin to type in the name. So example, I'll type in the word medical. And any name that has the word medical in it will populate in the business unit name. I can also use this same functionality across any of the other filters. So if I wanted to remove that and come over to account name, if I knew the name of the account, but I didn't know the account number, I can type in the name of the account. If I knew the account number, but it wasn't listed here in my dropdown, I can begin typing in the first few numbers of that account number. And once that number filtered down and I identified the specific account number, I can select it. And once the filter is selected, click the Apply Changes. In addition to these default filters that are defined on each of the tiles, we have this plus Add Filter button. If I click on that, I have the ability to select other filters associated with this particular dashboard page. And if I were to select any one of these additional filters, it would then walk me through what steps I need to take next. I mentioned earlier the change all filters. If I had a bunch of filters selected, so for example, let's just go back and select several business units. Click the Apply Changes. From here, I can clear the form, which would clear all of those filters. I can also click the Change All Filters button and click the Remove All, which removes all of my filters. It even removed my particular fiscal year. I'll go back and select fiscal year 2025, click the Apply Changes, and my data table and visualizations populate based on my filters. Some other things I want to talk about is if I scroll down to a bar chart and I hover over the right-hand corner of that bar chart, I get this Options button. From here, I can maximize the panel and get a complete view of that particular bar chart. I can then minimize it. I can also then scroll down and click the Options button and click the Inspect. And by clicking the Inspect button, I can then download the data associated with that particular bar chart, where it gives me the description and the dollar amounts. Some other features that I want to highlight is the ability to sort. So here on this fund data table, I can look at the appropriation amount, and you can see here the dollar amounts are listed. If I wanted to click the drop-down arrow here, I can sort this in descending order. And here I'm going to sort the information from the highest dollar to the lowest dollar. What I also have the ability to do is use the Include, Exclude buttons. So anytime you hover over any of the fields, you can click this Include or Exclude button. So if I just wanted to look at Highway Construction Fund, I can click the plus button. And based on that, the data table and all the other visualizations on this particular dot tile will update accordingly. And if I scroll up to the top, I can now see that the Highway Construction Fund filter has been applied. If I want to remove it, I just click the X button, and now I'm back to just looking at the fiscal year 2025 information. We also have the ability to resize columns. Sometimes our information, we can't see everything that we're looking for. So what I have the ability to do is hover between two columns and either widen it or shorten it accordingly, just like you do in Microsoft Excel. But one of the key features that I want to highlight today, being able to view and drill down to journal entries. So both the state budget to actuals tile and the revenue to budget actuals tile have reports that allow users to view journal details. So I'm going to scroll down to the raw data actuals data table. And you can see there's a column here for view journals. From here, I can click this view journals link, and the dollar amount, the $6,922,000 detail will be populated in the V_GL COVA Insights query that was run. I now also have the ability to look at these particular journal entries and click a dollar amount and go one level deeper. And here we have the journal detail information associated with that particular line item on the data table. So that's a high level. Oh, what I also want to do, and how could I forget as an accountant, is being able to download the information to an Excel spreadsheet. So if I wanted to take this expenditure by account program data table, I can click this export button and either export the data in raw data format or formatted data. If I click formatted and underneath downloads, the by fund formatted file is available for me to take a look at. I will click the open file, and you can see that we have our data converted button. I'm going to say don't convert. And now what will populate here is the information exported from the dashboard, at which point it's now in Excel, and I have all the detail associated with the transaction that I just exported. And that's a high-level overview of the different features and layout of our Insights dashboards. What I would like to do now is go back to our Financial Insights homepage and click the Project Budget to Actuals tile. And as I mentioned, the Project Budget to Actuals will not default with any information. You can see underneath the search line, the filter says Project None. If I select a business unit, so let's just say I select business unit 30100, the Apply Changes button becomes activated. I click Apply Changes. When you do this, you also have to select your filters that you want to filter on, but then you must select the Project None. I've told myself that so many times, don't forget that. And thank you for Kim White reminding me. Once you remove that filter, your information will display. And from here, you'll be able to look at all the data tables and visualizations available. So for some examples we've got some high-level metrics with our life-to-date budget and our life-to-date expenditures and a budget remaining. Again, not all agencies enter in their budget information associated with projects, but you can at least track your expenditure information. Right? If you are an agency that does enter in like budget information, I think your data will be much closer and those metrics will be much more valuable. But we've got the project line chart. Again, this is showing all projects for this particular agency. If I wanted to filter on a specific project, so for example, project number that ends in 214 here, I can click the plus button, and now all of my data visualizations will update associated with this particular project ID. You can see here under the link to data, I've got this view data link. If I click on that, I will then be able to see the detailed information associated with the total dollar amount that was displayed on that data table. So there's a quick look at the projects tile. What I'd also like to do is just do a quick look at the GL trend analysis. And with the GL trend analysis, this is actually going to show the 3 most current fiscal years. So here we're actually showing fiscal year 2026, 2025, and 2024. Again, we're in our training environment, even though we're in fiscal year 2027. Some of the information has not populated. But here I can look at both my revenue information and my expenditure information. We've got line graphs and additional data tables associated with revenues and expenditures. And finally, let's look at our revenue budget to actuals tile. And here we default to our current fiscal year for 2026. And again, this information is based on statewide information. As I mentioned, we've got different types of data tables and visualizations for you to view, as well as on this particular tile, the ability to drill down and view journal detail information. So some key things that I want to point out when it comes to Cardinal Financial Insights is always click the Apply Changes button. Use the drop-downs whenever possible. If expected values don't appear in your filters, begin typing the first letters. Remember, sensitive data may appear and be redacted with asterisks. We don't see that on the general ledger tiles, but you would see that on the supplier spend analysis, as well as the employee expenses tiles. So to summarize, Cardinal Financial Insights gives you powerful tools to evaluate financial data quickly and intuitively. With drill down capability, flexible filtering, and accessible visualizations, Insights overall supports better decision-making across agencies and statewide. Thank you for your time today, and we look forward to rolling this out. And as I mentioned, these were the different things I want you to focus on with Insights. Using filters, clicking the Apply Changes button, using the drop-downs, again, using the search values, being able to export your data, and as I mentioned, in our supplier spend analysis and our employee expenses tiles, we have some data that is redacted, and that redacted data will show up with asterisks.
All right, thanks, Dan. Julie, do we have any final questions before we move forward?
There was a question. Hey, Dan, as I'm asking this question, would you mind pulling up your downloaded results that you pulled from that raw data and displaying that? So there was a question around when we do our upgrade and we download query results to Excel, the columns aren't necessarily formatted with all the formatting loveliness, the column widths, as you see here, what Dan is displaying is that using these insights, we do have the $ included for them. However, whenever we do the column widths, Dan did show how he had to resize everything. And a lot of that has to do with CSV functionality, is that it's just pulling data and it's typically non-formatted data. But we were able to at least get the $ added. But in all of the standard functionality within Cardinal, so whenever you're running the PS queries, and you're downloading those results, those will still remain the same and similar to the report. So if you run a trial balance and you run that to CSV instead of a PDF, then again, those will also not have your $ and commas and things like that. And it's just the nature of the tool.
But the best work around that is create an Excel template that has everything formatted where you're just copy paste special values, this data into your template. And from there, you have everything formatted the way you like it.
And then we did have another question that came through. Will the journal side, identifying duplicate journal vouchers from prior year to current year or closed coding project cost centers for QA, will this help with that? Kim White, you want to comment on that?
I mean, in my opinion, it would not help with that. As we answered one question, there's no AI built into this. It is purely pulling raw data and formatting it into various data tables and graphs and things. Perhaps you could spot some trends a little easier, but I don't think it's really going to help too much with that particular question.
Yeah, so we won't have anything that's triggering it. You'll have to do some of that manual validation. Thank you, Kim. And then we had some questions, I think, we did have a lot of questions earlier on about favorites, a lot of that functionality where you're saving things. And we will have a task that's right prior to go live that asks users to make sure that you've copied all of your favorites. You know what they are, because there are new pages with this upgrade that replace the old stuff. Again, that look and feel. So you'll have to reevaluate those and add them into your favorites list. The good news is obviously is that there are some of those new features like most recently visited things that you'll be able to apply. And thank you so much, Dana, who also provided information on when will those amazing job aids be available. And we are making some of the available for prior to the go live. So, but most of them we're targeting, we will have, and I think Monica is actually going to talk about this, Monica or Dana, a little bit later, that talks about where these things will be housed that are done prior, so that you can have some sneak peek at some of the features and functions that are coming out. And then another question, when will this Cardinal Security issue a new book? And when will those new training lists and job aids be defined? For the security handbook, I think that there's just a few new roles that are added across the whole application. And it'll be right before go live. And we actually have an updated security form. So if folks still have to do security prior to go live, then we don't use those new pieces. Or we won't have those new pieces available until probably go live. And then you also asked the question about the new training lists for job aids and trainings and things like that. So that is also inclusive. End user training, we will have all those WBTs if you wanted to do any web-based training, and the job aids will be available. But then for our instructor-led training, that will start back up in the October timeframe. So be on the lookout for those amazing things as well.
Okay, we've got a mentees we'd love to ask you. So without further ado, for insight, filters are case sensitive. Which two filters must be entered in all caps? Count and fund, hey, those are cheap ones to me. Supplier name, secretariat, employee name.
This is one of those amazing questions. Dan actually added this one. He's a teacher at heart.
But Kim White, thank God she's on my right-hand side here, informed me that I might not have mentioned it. So you're going to probably take a guess.
Oh, my goodness.
So with that, you're gonna at least walk away knowing which two filters will need to be capitalized.
It was a trick question. The correct answers are supplier name and employee name.
So maybe I did mention it, or you've done a lucky guess. Thank you very much. Or I did such a great job teaching you all, I can now call it a day.
There's one last question up there.
So yes, we forced all of the vendor supplier names and employee names to be all caps, just within Insights.
Okay, so again, never fear. We have great new training materials coming out to assist you, and we will do everything we can to make sure you are ready for the upgrade. All right, so our next steps, we've added a new upgrade page to the Cardinal website. Here is where you'll find links to all of the upgrade communications that we've sent out. We've got some special videos and infographics out there. It's also where we're posting all of the webinar recordings and the presentation decks from each of our webinars and much more. We do encourage you to keep checking this page regularly as we continue to add resources. And you'll notice that QR code on the right. We would love your feedback and would appreciate you taking a brief survey. Of course, all you need to do is scan the QR code on the slide to begin. So this brings us to the end of our session. On behalf of the entire Cardinal team, we want to say thank you for carving out time in your busy day to be here with us. Your engagement, the mentee responses, chat questions, all of it is exactly what helps us make these resources as useful as possible for you. We're certainly excited about what's coming in September, and we hope today gave you a clearer picture of what to expect. Take care and have a wonderful rest of your day.